A very good morning to you on Friday, the 29th of January. Who can believe it's nearly the end of the month? And I have to say, I'm always amazed that the people actually bother to watch this and previously read the written form of the bulletin, as it were, up till May of last year. Even more amazed that people beyond the immediate school community take the time to watch. But I must say a quick hello and thank you to Helen, the mother of Miss Hitchins in school. Helen lives down in Norfolk, where Miss Hitchins hails from, lovely part of the world, and I believe watches this video message week in, week out. So thank you for your support. You must be mad. But I suppose we are in lockdown. There's not much else to do on a Friday evening at the moment, but thank you for your continued support. Been another good week in school. Come on to that in more detail in a second. I think I might go on a bit tonight, so if you want to switch off now or watch this in 2 installments, then please feel free to do so. But I suppose the sobering thought this week has hit everybody of reaching that very sad milestone of 100,000 deaths due to COVID-19. Who'd have thought would ever reach that point? But incredibly sad. I think we have to just thank our lucky stars and but for the grace of God and all that, and spare a thought and a moment of a reflection for those families that have been devastated by this awful virus. On a personal note as well, we've never been flippant about the effects of COVID-19, but you get on with life, don't you? But I was watching ITV last week and up popped a former student. It was a programme about the journey of the coronavirus since last January. A former student who was telling her personal story of her stepdad passing away before Christmas time with COVID-19 at the mere age of 53. And that hit home. And then on Monday of this week, I got news of a former rugby playing colleague who died in his early 60s from COVID-19, having been previously pretty fit and took ill on January the 12th and passed away a week ago today. So a few sort of milestones this week, and we can we escape the seriousness of the virus and the fact we are not out of the woods yet. And hence it was greeted with good news, I think. Well, some disappointment, of course, as well, but and frustration, but good news that the government decided that schools will not be returning until at least March the 8th. That's 2 weeks after half term, and we'll find out at least 2 weeks in advance of the specifics around that. But I would wager that when we do return, it will not be everybody together. It will be staggered, possibly prioritising the examination year groups first of all, year 11, year 13. Now that's my speculation. I don't know, but clearly it will not be all 1,450 young people coming back together at the same time. Okay, so watch this space on that, but I'm glad it's been delayed because that gives chance for the rates to come down. Who knows, there may be staff vaccinations on the horizon by then as well to go along with the testing in school, and we'll be more comfortable in people's returning and get them back in school where they quite rightly deserve and need to be sooner rather than later. We've had some parents asking if their children would come into school because they are fed up or bored at home. I understand that. We get that completely, but that is not sufficient justification when you balance it out with the health and safety of those on site, the pupils and the staff, and it's our absolute priority to keep those people safe in school. So we cannot have too many in school at this time. I understand what people are going through. You have my deepest sympathies, but with this together, we're all fed up. We're all bored at times, and we just have to make the best of a pretty bad situation. So apologies if we've, in a sense, if we had to knock people back, but unfortunately, we have a limited capacity in school, and again, remote education is going well, and we have to make do with that for the time being. Okay, so yeah, just a word on that note. In terms of being fed up and bored and beyond that, in some cases, of course, next week it is National Mental Health Week from the 1st to the 7th of February. Former tutors will be going through a whole range of activities with tutees, with young people in tutor time next week. Mrs. Copeland has forwarded a whole plethora of resources which parents and pupils can access to help along those lines, not just now, but on an ongoing basis as well. So lots of support out there. We can't have too many pupils in school, as I've said, but there is help there via Debbie, our counsellor, by the pastoral managers, by our trained mental health first aiders. Other contact numbers we can put you in touch with as well. So there's no end, no shortage of support there if young people are feeling a bit down the dumps, and maybe worse than that at this very difficult time for all. Okay, I mentioned before that the remote learning seems to be going very well. Indeed it is. We tweak it on a regular basis, but it's going well. Can I remind you again, I have to keep reminding staff as well, remote learning is not 5 hours of live teaching a day. That is not good for anybody. It's not proven to be effective. Remote learning takes many forms. So there will be less screen time possibly in the future. A bit of live input is important and feedback, but pupils do work independently in class and they should be doing at home as well. We do show videos. There is some quiet reading time. There will be some more project-based learning in small groups, some collaboration that we will build into our program. We will have as well some offline days, some off-screen days as well, building into our schedule in the coming weeks and possibly months, who knows. Okay, so yeah, remote learning is going very well. It's proving effective. We're meeting all the requirements. I have no doubt about that. Staff are doing some superb work above and beyond what I am capable of doing in my sort of limited capacity. But yeah, just a reminder of that, of what remote learning is. It isn't 5 hours of live learning per day, though some live input is obviously important. I asked a Monday at briefing with staff to let me have any information around some good work that's going on at home, some examples, and there's been an absolute sort of inundation of things as well. I've just got some down here as well, and this is not everything by any means, but just a few examples. Miss Williams tells me how pleased the MFL department are with the Year 11s for their speaking endorsement tasks. The speaking doesn't actually figure as part of the mark scheme for MFL at the moment, but you have to do this. It has to be taken into consideration, and I think all the MFL teachers are blown away by the effort and the quality the Year 11s are putting into those speaking endorsements, so well done Year 11s on that. Miss Sheehan, who's absolute sort of dab hand with the remote learning side of things, and gave me some examples via Miss Hitchens of her Year 10 classes, and Jamboard, some sort of access there, some means of working collaboratively with her pupils. So thank you for the English department for that. Miss Pusey sent me a video of Stephanus Farquharson in Year 7, his Matilda auditions, or tips for the people in their audition. That was brilliant. The P department, Miss Kelly has sent me some work from Bronte Neary about technology in sport and netball trainers. Jessica Jones, some circuit training plans. Liberty Blake, a karate circuit training. Sophia Cameron, Eleanor Martin, again some interval training sort of details there, and Eva Gallagher, another circuit training plan. So fantastic work I've got here in front of me from the P department. And one thing I note there, all those contributions are from girls. So boys, pull your finger out, what are you contributing? Some great work there forwarded to the P department. Okay, and Miss Gray, the sixth form team, do some great work. The sixth form tutor groups, I've got a competition about how many miles they can cover. I think I've mentioned that before, by cycling, walking, jogging, or whatever. There's some cooking contributions going on there, some recipes being forwarded, a great array of things there, and they are sharing sort of reading experiences, recommending books as well. So some great work to keep people in touch with each other this time when we do, of course, need to be in contact with everybody in the school community. So thank you to all those contributions. I don't think I've missed much off my list there, but thank you for staff for forwarding those, and well done to all the young people who are working so well at home. Under their own steam at times as well. Last night, I tuned into Fenwick TV, Mr. Fenwick and his presentation on Year 9 options. A good number of parents and pupils tuned in as well. The recording of that will become available either on the website or via Class Charts in due course. I'm not sure if you didn't manage to watch Mr. Fenwick's presentation. It's only about 20 minutes long, followed by a bit of a Q&A with some sort of key questions afterwards. So thank you for parents and pupils for tuning in. A reminder that the other options resources are on the website, the options booklet, There have been some taster sessions for young people via Teams, which they can sign up for. They take place next week. There's been a Q&A held by heads of department during last week and some more next week for parents to go on if you have any questions about an option subject. And then, of course, there is Parents' Evening in, I think it's 2 weeks' time, just under, for Year 9 parents. Okay, I suppose one of the big events this week and more significant, I would suggest, than ever before was Holocaust Memorial Day on Wednesday. And the day before, on Tuesday, our Year 9s had the privilege of listening to Eva Kugler, a Holocaust survivor, who moved to the States and subsequently to London, having survived the Holocaust. And Holocaust Memorial Day itself was on Wednesday, and as I say, perhaps there's never been a more important time to commemorate the Holocaust and remember the whole spirit of that event. And again, sorry to go on a bit today, but I think it's important. On Twitter this week, I saw a photo on Holocaust Memorial Day of a picture of a group of people in black and white on the deck of a ship called the St. Louis, which featured heavily at the time. And it reminded me of one of the best speeches I've ever read, and I use that as a focus of a speech I did about 6 or 7 years ago at the awards evening at the Bridgewater Hall, a speech by a gentleman by the name of Elie Wiesel, who was a Holocaust survivor, a Romanian Jew who was sent as a child to Auschwitz, where he immediately lost contact with his mother and younger sister, who never saw them again. Subsequently, him and his father were sent to Buchenwald extermination camp, and his dad died of malnutrition there. Eli went to France and subsequently to the United States, where he's been a human rights campaigner and a writer of some note and journalist. And in 1999, on the cusp of the new millennium, he gave a speech at the White House about the perils of indifference. Perils of indifference to Hillary Clinton and gathered masses at the White House. He quoted the story of the St. Louis in a nutshell. The St. Louis was a ship with 1,000 Jews on, which escaped Europe. They were refugees, went to the United States, was on the shores of America, and was turned away. Subsequently sent back to Europe, and all 1,000 members of that the ship's crew, sort of passenger list, were subsequently murdered in one of the concentration camps, extermination camps of the Nazis. All 1,000 passengers, including the group on that picture, which featured this week on Twitter. One of which was a young girl dressed immaculately in her best clothing. So a real sort of jolting experience to see that once again. And just in a nutshell, Elie Wiesel, in his speech, talks about reflecting on the 20th century and what will its legacy be. And he mentions that word indifference and the 2 world wars, the Holocaust itself, the genocides, the civil wars, the assassinations of JFK and John Lennon and Martin Luther King and the like, and whether indifference will be the legacy of the 20th century. And I use that in my speech at the Bridgewater Hall. Indifference can be quite comforting, can't it? To bother ourselves with the plight and the suffering of others, it can be uncomfortable, it can be unnerving, it can be unsettling. It's sometimes easy to bury your head in the sand, and for our own sanity, sometimes we have to do so. But without going on too much today, I think it's important that we remember that. And my point being at the Bridgewater, I don't think as a Wellington community we are indifferent. I think we are empathetic. I think we are cognizant of the suffering of others. And I think at this time, and the sadness and talking of those 100,000 deaths, but also the suffering in other ways, the increased poverty, the homelessness, or the hunger that goes on in our doorstep, which has been exacerbated by COVID. I think now is the time to show that we are not indifferent, and when we build out of this sorry saga, when we go through the recovery phase, which we thought, to be honest, was perhaps in September, we have this sort of this third lockdown now, then I think we have to remember what we are capable of achieving as a school community. We have a privileged position, we have a responsibility to do something about that. So that just triggered my thoughts, that picture of the passengers of the St. Louis and what happened to them because of the indifference of some people back in the 1940s. And let's make sure that Holocaust Memorial Day makes us think twice and these things never happen again, and that we do address indifference on the scale we see it in this country, particularly during these COVID times. Okay, that is not meant to be a depressing note to finish on, but I know we can make a difference. That's one of our school mantras, making a difference, and we can. We continue to do so, and we will, to the lives of our young people, but also to the wider community. Okay, it's nearly 15 minutes I've gone on today. I do apologise. Switched off at any stage, I'm sure you have already. Just me and Mrs. Hitchens and my mum listening at this point. Anyway, all the best to you all. Have a great weekend. Wasn't a great week of sport. United's catastrophic defeat at home to the bottom of the table, Sheffield, on Wednesday, preceded the night before by City's 5-0 win at West Brom. So let's hope we turn ourselves around away at the Gooners down at Arsenal this weekend. Okay, stay safe, enjoy your weekend, and 2 weeks ago to half term. I'll keep you posted and be in touch next week. Bye-bye for now.